Welcome back to Best Sleepy Storytelling. I'm glad you've returned for the second part of our tale. Sailor's Voyages, whispers over the waves. The sea still holds its secrets, and the whispers are growing louder. I hope you've had a good day, and now it's time to relax, unwind, and let the story carry you away. If you enjoy these journeys into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you won't miss what's to come. Now let's continue where we left off.
Part 2. The Fogbound. The second night was worse. James had lashed the tiller and let the yacht drift, unwilling to leave the cockpit despite the icy wind that cut through his jacket. Sleep was impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that pale head rising from the waves, the grin carved too wide, too eager. The fog had not lifted. It hugged the seabird like a cocoon, erasing distance, smothering light. Beyond the glow of the navigation lamps, there was nothing, only grey thickness, swallowing sound and shape. And inside that blankness, the voices prowled. Sometimes they sang, other times they whispered. He caught fragments. Come play. Don't hide. We see you. They never came from the same place twice. One moment they seemed beneath the deck, the next they floated above the mast, the next they giggled from directly behind his ear. James spun, flashlight stabbing the fog, always empty, always nothing. By midnight, his nerves frayed like worn rope. He was shaking, not just from cold, but from the constant anticipation, the waiting for something he could neither see nor fight. The sea, once a place of calm rhythm, had become a stage for phantoms. At some unknown hour, time dissolved in fog, he heard a new sound, a splash, then another, then the rapid slap, slap, slap of water against the hull, as though many hands were striking it in unison. James's heart lurched. He leaned over the side, flashlight beam skittering across the black surface. Shapes moved in the water, small, pale, darting just beneath the surface. He caught glimpses, a tiny hand breaking the waves, a head turning toward him with eyes open and shining unnaturally white. God! James staggered back, gripping the mast to steady himself. The shapes circled the yacht. Laughter bubbled up from the water, impossible, muffled, and yet clear. High-pitched giggles, as if dozens of children were treading water around the seabird, delighting in his terror. Then came the thud. Something heavy struck the hull from below, jolting the boat. James stumbled and fell to his knees. Another thud, this one on the starboard side, then again on port. The yacht rocked violently, as though battered by submerged bodies. "No!" His scream cracked across the night. "Leave me alone!" For a heartbeat, silence. Then, from all around, in perfect unison, "We all fall down." The chant swelled, overlapping, louder and louder, until James clapped his hands to his ears and curled into himself, teeth bared in a grimace. The sound wasn't only in the air. It vibrated through the hull, through the mast, through his own bones. The seabird seemed to shiver with it. He didn't remember passing out. When James opened his eyes, weak daylight seeped through thinning fog. His body ached from the hard deck, his throat raw from shouting. The boat was steady, the sea calm. Had it happened, or had he finally broken under the weight of exhaustion? He forced himself below deck, brewing instant coffee with shaking hands. The bitter taste was grounding, though not comforting. He stared at the compass, needle steady, pointing east toward Norway. Land was still 2 days away, 2 days of this. His radio sat on the cabin shelf. He stared at it, torn. He could call for help, but what would he say? That he was being haunted by drowned children? That the sea was singing nursery rhymes? They'd think he'd gone mad. But wasn't that what was happening? He gripped the radio mic, thumb hovering over the button. Static hissed softly. He imagined a voice answering, human and steady, dragging him back into the sane world. The thought was almost painful. He pressed the button. "This is the Seabird. Anyone copy? Over. Static. Seabird to any vessel. I need assistance. Over." The static crackled louder, then softened, and then laughter. James dropped the mic as though it burned. High-pitched giggling spilled from the speaker, distant but unmistakable. No, 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 no. He slammed the radio off, heart pounding. He was cut off, the voices tainting even the lifeline meant to connect him to the world. He was theirs. That afternoon the fog finally broke. The sea spread wide again, stretching into a clear horizon. James should have felt relief, but instead dread rooted deeper. The fog had hidden them. Now the children, whatever they were, had nowhere to hide. He scanned the water constantly, eyes gritty, head pounding. Every white cap, every swell looked like a pale face. He began muttering under his breath, nonsense phrases, anything to fill the silence. The singing didn't return until dusk. It started soft, a single voice, no more than a hum. It drifted on the wind, fragile but insistent. James froze, one hand on the tiller. He knew ignoring it was useless, but acknowledging it felt like surrender. The hum turned into song, the words clear now. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. The irony made bile rise in his throat. He spun in place, scanning the horizon. Nothing. Just sea and fading sky. Merrily, 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 merrily. The voice multiplied. 2 children, 4, 6, a choir building surrounding him. Life is but a dream. The last note stretched impossibly long, the pitch warping into something inhuman, vibrating through the rigging. James clapped his hands over his ears, but the sound drilled deeper inside his skull. He dropped to his knees, teeth rattling, vision swimming, then silence. James gasped, chest heaving. His ears rang. The boat rocked gently as though nothing had happened, but the dread didn't fade. He knew they were closer now. That night brought the worst yet. James had retreated below deck, lantern burning, knife clutched in one trembling hand. He sat hunched on the berth, back to the wall, listening. Every creak of the hull, every sigh of the sea was an omen. Hours dragged, his eyelids grew heavy, he dozed, and then the cabin door rattled. His eyes flew open, the knife slipped in his sweaty grip. The latch jiggled again and again, as though someone small was tugging on it, testing it. James held his breath, muscles taut, eyes locked on the thin wood. The jiggling stopped. Silence. Then tap, 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 right above his head. Footsteps, small, light, scampering across the deck. His pulse roared in his ears. He forced himself to stand, every nerve screaming. He reached for the lantern and crept to the companionway. He pushed the door open. The deck was empty, but wet footprints trailed across the wood, tiny, bare, leading from bow to stern. James stumbled backward, bile rising. He swung the lantern wildly, light spilling across the boat. Nothing. The prints glistened, then began to fade, as though licked away by the air. And then he heard it, a child's voice, right behind him. Found you. James spun, knife raised. The lantern swung with him, its flame flaring. The cabin entrance yawned, dark, empty. His breathing came ragged. He felt eyes on him, dozens of them, just beyond the edge of the lantern's glow, watching, waiting. The boat shifted suddenly, a violent lurch. James slammed against the rail, knife clattering to the deck. The seabird tilted as if something massive had shoved it from below. Wood groaned, water sprayed. He grabbed the rail, knuckles white. Another impact, harder. The mast shuddered, sails snapping. The yacht rocked dangerously, one side dipping toward the sea. And then, hands, pale, wrinkled, too small. Dozens of them gripping the edge of the boat, fingers curling over the rail, pulling. James screamed, yanking at the lantern to see. The flame flickered across faces rising from the water. Children's faces, bloated, pale, eyes wide and gleaming like glass marbles. Their mouths stretched in joyous grins, water pouring from their lips. They giggled as they climbed, dozens of them, their voices overlapping in a chorus of play. Come play, James. Stay with us. Don't leave. Their nails scraped wood as they pulled higher, their bodies slick and dripping. James stumbled back, heart hammering so hard it hurt. He snatched the lantern and hurled it. Flame exploded across the rail, oil splashing onto the nearest figures. For a moment, firelight blinded him. Then the children shrieked, a sound that pierced like knives. They dropped back into the sea, hissing, giggles dissolving into shrill wails. James collapsed to his knees, sobbing, ears ringing from their cries. The boat rocked, then steadied. Silence returned. The rail was charred. The sea, once again, empty. But James knew this wasn't victory, it was only a reprieve, because children always come back to play.
Thank you for listening to Sailor's Voyages, Whispers Over the Waves, Part 2, here on Basleepy Storytelling. I'm grateful you joined me tonight. As the waves grow darker and the whispers become harder to ignore, Part 3 will take us even deeper into the unknown. Until then, I wish you a peaceful night's rest. Sleep well, and I'll see you when the voyage continues.